Hi, I'm Andrew, this is Velochrome, and today we're going to take a look at the Ricoh TLS 401. So let's take a quick look through the technical details and find out how it is to shoot one of these and whether you should buy one or not. Now this is a pretty straightforward camera. It has a cold shoe for your flash, a simple rewind knob, then we have an actual internal light meter, which is a simple needle indicator that has the feature of spot metering or average metering. In order to start your light meter, you have to lift up this button right here, but also make sure not to forget it powered on because your CDS battery will drain within a few days. On this left side we have our flash synchronization ports, the X and M, and the flash synchronization speed, which for this camera goes up to actually 1/125th of a second. Now I know this camera has your full attention, but please just subscribe and like this video so you can see more in-depth showcases like this one. Now as I said, this is a pretty bulky camera. It can weigh up to almost 800 grams, so if you add like a telephoto lens, your camera can weigh up to 1.5 kilograms. One great thing about the camera is that it comes in M42 mount. That offers a wide variety of lenses that can be used with this camera, and most of them are pretty cheap because this is a very common camera mount. Now the shutter on this camera is a focal plane copal shutter that's made out of metal blades, I believe. Now down here to the right you have the self-timer lever, which gives you about 8 seconds before it presses the shutter. Then you have the film speed dial and the actual shutter speed dial, which is a 2-in-1. In order to change your ISO, you need to actually pull up this small dial and choose your speed. Now for the shutter speed, you just have to rotate this wheel. Up here you have a frame indicator and your actual big advanced lever, which is very tactile. It has a great sound to it. And also the shutter sound is very satisfying. Now for the main feature of this camera, it's the dual viewing system. Maybe you think this is kind of a gimmick, but this camera has two viewfinders. And if you turn this knob right here, you can now use your actual waist finder. Now, it's not really an actual waist finder. You can't really see anything from waist level. You need to keep it very close to your eye, but I did use it multiple times, especially when you want to go on a low angle, or if you want to shoot very high up, you don't have to turn your head with the other viewfinder, you just use this one. Now, for the actual shooting experience, this camera is pretty straightforward. It doesn't get in the way of shooting, it's just there for you to take the shot. And I think that's what a great camera does. Mostly an invisible tool that helps you get a great image. And that's not what I usually look for in a camera. I usually go for quirky and unique cameras that have some weird lenses, but this camera won me over. And it's my most used camera and I just love the system. As you can see, I have 3 of the same cameras. And this is my most used camera. This is my favorite system. I can just swap lenses between the cameras and have multiple film stocks at once. I usually go out with some expired films, some fresh film, and sometimes color film. So this is a great pairing for that. The camera itself, it's pretty bulky. As I said, it can weigh up to 1.5 kilograms. Now, all in all, it's a very versatile system and a very reliable camera. I've actually had this camera fall out from mountain cliff like 30 meters and it had nothing but a small dent and a cracked filter, so that saved the lens and the camera had no issues. I just kept on shooting with it and you'll get to see some results from that actual trip that I used it. Now this camera might not be trendy, it's not flashy, it's not a collectible, but it's reliable. It's also built like a tank, and overall the camera has a very tactile feel to it. It's pretty sturdy, but it feels good in the hand. The controls are very simple, and maybe you're not used to having your shutter in front of the camera, so that might take you some time to get used to just flipping your camera to change the speed. But for me, that's just the layout of the camera. It's not really a downside. And every button on the camera has a great sound to it. Has a very unique mechanical sound. Now let's also take a look at some photos I've taken over the years with these cameras. Now this first one has to be one of my greatest photos up to date, and it was actually taken using the secondary viewfinder with a 90-35mm, and I was lucky enough to capture this amazing foggy day on expired film on this Vema 65 that expired in 1970. Now this one was actually taken on that trip I told you about, where I dropped my camera. This is a mountain in Romania called Creasta Cocoșului, and this is where I dropped my camera. But as you can see, all the photos turned fine, and this was actually shot again on expired film. I believe this was Orvo MP22. This was shot with my own rebranded film. This is the Velochrome pictorial film. And since I mentioned pictorialism, here's a photo that I think comes close to that. I really love the pictorials current, and this photo was actually taken on fresh film on Kodak T-Max 400, but the angle and the snow and the fog just made this very dreamlike. Now if I ever make it to showcase my photographs in an actual gallery, I would like to be known for this camera. Some people are known for using their Leicas, but I would love to be known for using the Ricoh TLS 401. This camera has become an extension of who I am as a photographer, and I can trust it with any shots that I take. And I believe that's what a great camera does. Whenever I go shooting, I just pack 2 of these cameras, and then I think of what other cameras should I bring with me. The next photos I'll show you straight up look like they were taken in another time, and that's thanks to the film that I used. This was a very expired Gevert Pancromosa film from around the 40s, I believe, and it had these unique marks due to its storing conditions that just yielded something that you cannot replicate. These results are just very beautiful as they are. Okay, this is the last black and white one, I promise. After that we'll get to some color photos, but this one also has that kind of pictorialist look to it. It was taken in Prague on, again, expired film on the Amsco Versapan film. And the last, the color photos. This one was taken on Kodak Gold, but there's a catch. I did use a soft focus filter, and it was one that it's not made anymore. It's a Harrison & Harrison filter that was used in cinematography in the 40s, I believe. And as you see, this photograph just looks like a painting. And I really love the way it came out. And I did use this camera with an actual modern flash trigger and modern flashes using a PC cord cable that just goes in here. Now you do have to pay attention not to mount your actual trigger on the cold shoe, because this is full metal and will just continuously trigger a flash and might just damage the whole thing. So be wary of that. But here's how some of the flash photos turned out with this camera. And behold, another painting reference. This time I've tried to recreate a Danish still life painting, but this is an actual photograph taken on Kodak Gold. And I did keep it classy, but as you see, there's a Durex right there. I try to have this play of, you know, the old and the new, and something that doesn't fit within the theme. Now, who's this camera for? I mean, if you're a beginner, really you can't ask more from a camera. It's pretty simple, and if you find one with a working light meter, I don't see it why it wouldn't be a perfect first camera for you. Now again, it might not be like an AE1 or anything like that, but it's a very underrated camera, and for that you might find it online for less than its actual worth. And now if you got to the end of this video, like, share and subscribe. That really encourages and helps me to spread more of this analog content and bring to you some more quirky and unique cameras, much rarer than this one. Although this is my favorite one, and I believe it's very underrated for what it can actually deliver. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.